BC elections. We have to start at BC elections. The official count still has one more update, but it looks like BC NDP are ahead, and they're going to eke out a 1-seat majority because of all of this. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? I'm shocked. You see the shocked face that I've got? I'm so shocked about all of this, honestly. So lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we have to start with BC elections. And David says, "Dear American friends, please pay attention to what's happening in British Columbia. They just had a provincial election. 2 of the ridings were within less than 50 votes of the Conservative Party of British Columbia winning. Suddenly, days after the election, 15,000 ballots appear. 2 ridings were swung to the Communists, the New Democrats, the NDP, and now an entire province of 5 million people plus will suffer under communism for another 4 years minimum. Do not let them steal your election. Once they've stolen one, they never stop. Rest in peace, Canada. You've been destroyed." And yeah, I have concerns. I have concerns that that's exactly what's going on. Here is David again, and he goes through what's going on here. Hold on, I've got the whole thread. Actually, it's not Dave's thread. We'll get to it in a minute. But David says, "Things to pay attention to in the BC election recount. Dominion voting machines were used. Vote anywhere ballots are difficult, if not impossible, to audit." Impossible, yes. On E-Day elections, BC announced that they had 49,000 mail-in ballots to count. This was updated to 65,000. All polling showed a close race to make the steal appear legitimate. That is what Hammer and Scorecard are designed to do. The only thing Hammer and Scorecard can't do, Hammer and Scorecard are CIA developed, or 3-letter agency, American developed tools, digital tools, and actually the entire vote counting machines, vote tabulation machines, voting machines, Dominion, all of that infrastructure was created by the CIA. But I digress. I don't want to get too far off. Hammer and Scorecard were developed by the CIA to utilize in foreign elections in order to put American-friendly heads of state into positions of power in South America, specifically. That's where it was specifically designed to be used. And then Obama got into office, and then he commercialized it, weaponized it, and allowed it to be used against America, against Canada, in provincial elections. Who knows? It's everywhere. It's out in the open now, and they can use it. And we're using the same infrastructure that's utilized with all of that Hammer Scorecard infrastructure. And I mean, fundamentally, any voting machines, I think they probably have their fingertips in. But I digress. Again, I don't want to get too far off. So Dominion voting machines were used, vote anywhere ballots. All polling showed a close race by design. That's how they steal elections. All electronic voting and vote tabulation must end. Absolutely must end. Here is the remanded, and I just started following him, and he's got a comprehensive thread on BC election fraud. So let's go through it. I think that he's got a real big point. BC election fraud. I'll let the public be the judge. So as always, you make up your own mind. I'll tell you what I think, just based on the evidence that I see, but take it with a grain of salt, as always, and you come up to your own conclusions. You come to your own conclusions, because that's how this all works. Anyway, I'll let the public be the judge. All my references or facts are from Election BC or media coverage, now compiled into one article going into final count. There's going to be an announcement today at 1 p.m. with an update to the final count, but they've magically found all sorts of new ballots and new everything. It's wild. October 19th, this account was in a space hosted by Wog Reel with roughly 120 listeners and speakers. Speakers would tune in with their mainstream media update, while others analyzed Elections BC and other sources of coverage. At 11:38 p.m. on CTV News, they showed the image of the 3 main parties, NDP, Cons, Green, and IND. I assume the other parties and independents are under IND. The Green Party had 168,644 votes, Independent 70,753. About 12 to 13 minutes later, there was high site traffic or an alleged DDoS attack on Elections BC website. Listen to the audio clipped from the stream. When I was asked if I was having issues accessing the Elections BC website, I hesitantly said no, but while replying, I couldn't understand what I was seeing on the Elections BC website and started taking screenshots. Election BC's total didn't add up to total valid votes. Listen to the next clip from the live stream. So he's going through from stuff recorded on election night, what was happening, because you forget, because we're like goldfish, right? Like we totally forget. We wouldn't be able to put all of this together unless we had all of that documentation from that night to say, listen, this is what we were doing. This is what we were talking about. This is what was said. So, but it doesn't matter. They're going to say, oh, well, these votes they showed up under the table and we had to count them. We had to count them. Sure, all of their handwriting was exactly the same and it looked like it was done on Betty's kitchen table, but we had to count them, right? Because that's what we do. The remand continues. Vote total error. So the mention of an alleged DDoS attack or high traffic was with the Election BC website triggered me to screenshot and count the count totals. The count was off at the time. Something like 5,000 votes turned into 5,488 votes, which I thought weren't allocated to anyone until later, adding up all 93 individual ridings. They didn't adjust the total at the top of the results page. On October 21st, I called BC Elections and inquired about the 5,488 votes that weren't allocated. Election BC rep told me that counting still needed to be done and mail-in ballots won't be counted until final count. I won't play the recording, but basically went on to say we have no idea and the people who do the counting have no idea. We can take your info and call you back regarding your inquiry, which didn't answer my question. The next day, October 22nd at 4:01 p.m., it updated to reflect the allocated count. No callback as of writing this. Refer to the column independent in the vote update. You can check that out. Links in the description if you're interested. The remand continues. Green Party vote deduction. Now, in the first post, we looked at CTV News coverage showing the Green Party having 168,644 votes. CTV coverage ends at midnight, and 1 minute later, Elections BC website deducts 2,063 votes from the Greens. Refer to the video below. They include video of the screenshot, top left, timestamp. CTV News confirms first count. Live stream acknowledging the vote has changed. I call Elections BC and frontline rep and supervisor and have no idea what I call Elections BC and frontline rep and supervisor have no idea what I'm talking about. Tone changed when I mentioned I had receipts. There has been mention of a candidate that had 1,928 votes taken away and a CTV screenshot of pre and post count, but not sure of the timestamp. And then he tags an account that says, can you provide the timestamp? Here we go. And then remanded continues. CTV gets results before Election BC. Here we go. Found this last night. Take a look at the IND count on the TV of CTV News next to the Green Party. It states 70,753 votes at 11:38 p.m. But wait, 7 or 8 minutes later, Elections BC only has 40,446 for independent, unless they are counting all other votes outside NDP, Conservative, Greens as one category. If we count that, we get CTV News 70,753, Elections BC 68,856, difference of 1,897 votes. How did CTV get this number? How is this counted? Why did Elections BC have a short count? Elections BC count never hits CTV's total. It actually jumps after my inquiry to the total error in post 2, which is 74,359. We continue. Elections BC statements. There's a one banger. October 20th at 12:10. Elections BC sent out a post about counting for another hour, so until 1:10 a.m. I replied to the post asking when there will be an update if you're counting for another hour. Refer to image on the the post they put up. They later edited the post and put out a statement saying they weren't up for that hour, but you updated the website 22 minutes later at 12:32. They state results reporting paused early in the morning on October 20th with results 99.72% reported and resumed later on the morning of October 20th. Only 3 districts were counting. Apparently, they actually updated the site at 12:32 with 99.77%, adding 880 votes when those 3 districts until writing this only have an increase of 302 votes. Refer to the images. Conclusion of initial count. Elections BC statement says, and allegedly CTV refers to post by ShareAware Canadian image. So this guy. And he says at the conclusion of the initial count, voter turnout was estimated to be 57.41%. This is up from the last BC election in 2020, in which 53.86% of the registered voters cast a ballot. As of the close of initial count, 2,037,897 ballots had been cast. This is incorrect at the time of completion of initial count and statement October 20th at 2:31. The total valid votes were 2,038,075, a difference of 175 votes. Refer to images. Mail-in ballots and other bits. Originally, it was estimated that 45,000 mail-in ballots were to be counted. This number rose to 65,000 and then rose again to 66,074. Assisted telephone voting, which has alleged ties to David Eby as Attorney General. He brought it in when he was the Attorney General before he became the leader of the party by accident. Because the other person didn't file their paperwork correctly. 2017 saw 1,000 votes by phone. 2020 doubled to 1,900. 2024, we don't know yet. I saw a post, I think it was by Brittany, talking, and she's referenced here, talking about how there's phones open for BC residents because the rain was so bad. Elections BC posted, back to the remanded post, Elections BC posted about closed voting facilities, day of voting, and that you could call in. Brat World, I believe, has this reference. Elections BC saw roughly 1,928 votes added to initial count over 11 or 12 result page updates, errors, random tabulator recounts for functionality. Conclusion, make your own judgments during this process. It's been observations, 3 calls to the Green Party, calls to the Conservative Party for comments and answers, of which no party got back to me, 3 calls to Elections BC with discussion but no further follow-up. This article doesn't make the claim of actual fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, or cheating by any official party or candidate or by Elections BC and as its workforce or anyone on earth. I've been asked to submit my findings in writing to and by Elections BC, so this article helps me do just that. I won't ask for a follow, but if this effort finds you well in an unbiased format to all voters of BC, not to a singular party, please share, like, and spread what I've observed. So I think that was a pretty good non-biased look at what's going on, and he's not pointing fingers like saying, see, it's election fraud and blah, 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 blah. But it really honestly looks like election fraud. Like, this is how they would steal an election. This is how they have stolen an election. That's how they stole a bunch of the 2020 sectors and different things that they had to steal in order to steal it from Trump. And so it seems like an election theft. And I think that what he's put together is good evidence of that, but you make up your own mind. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Here is, what would people do if they were experiencing a rise in crime and the government seemed to ignore you? Vote for the NDP, the government that's ignoring you. Obviously, right? Obviously. Time to vote for the NDP. Here's the Vancouver Sun reporting. It's a war zone down there. More than half of BC's small businesses report surge in crime over the last year. A majority win by the governing NDP is not believable. It's not a believable outcome. That's why it's taken a week. That's why they're dragging their heels on this, because they want to tell you David Eby won with a majority, sit down and shut up. And it's a lie. And they know it's a lie, and we know it's a lie, and they know that we know that it's a lie. And so they're trying to figure out a way to make it palatable enough and a pain in the ass enough that BC won't stand up and say, F you. That's it. That's what's going on. That is exactly what's happening. Okay? People who call the downtown Vancouver core a war zone aren't voting for the same, 4 more years. They're not voting for the same thing. Okay? Our elections, in my opinion, are stolen, are rigged, and the people who are rigging it are holding on to power. And if we let them, we shouldn't let them, but if we let them, who's going to fight for restoring the country, right? The kids coming up won't have any kind of reference. They won't know what freedom is. There's no word for freedom in North Korea, right? Vancouver Sun says it's a war zone down there. More than half of BC's small businesses report a surge in crime over the last year. Dozens of businesses have joined SOS, Save Our Streets, to send an urgent message to government to get crime under control. Vancouver business owner Catherine Mckenna, who runs a specialty kitchen supply store in East Vancouver, is at her wit's end over the relentless crime she experiences every day. Someone threw a boulder through the 3-meter pane of glass and stole expensive items, she said. The other day, a man walked in dressed in a garbage bag only to remove it and run around naked, scaring off customers. Weird. There's no fear with these people, she said, and the police don't come. There's no government intervention. Why isn't anything being done about this? Then she said, I voted NDP. Thanks, NDP. Keep doing what you're doing. Does it make sense? No, obviously not, right? She's at her wit's end. She's sick and tired of insane people coming into her store and scaring off her customers. She's not going to vote for the NDP. That's not going to happen. And yet we're being told, oh yeah, that's exactly what happened. Don't believe it. I don't believe it. Eva Chipik is responding to Elections BC. Elections BC 13 hours ago says, we have an updated election result on our website. Results for 30 electoral districts have been updated. The next update will be at 1 p.m. tomorrow, Sunday, October 27th. That's today. Find the updates here. And Eva says, regardless of your stance on whether the BC election was rigged, it's evident that a significant crisis of trust in our institutions exists. Instead of dismissing these concerns as mere conspiracies, we must acknowledge the unresolved issues such as foreign interference, lack of transparency, government censorship, media manipulation that can impact elections. With these serious threats to democracy unaddressed, it's understandable why people question the legitimacy of our elections. Transparency, open government, and public trust are all things we should always be advocating for. Addressing these issues is not about a single election. It's about safeguarding our democracy for the future. And I agree with her. So I think that she's not wrong. But in my mind, there's no real question about these elections being rigged. And I think that people who are rigging elections are going to cover their asses. They're going to scream like people who suspect me of rigging an election are terrible criminals. They're terrorists. They're akin to terrorists, right? Like they're going to make a lot of noise because they're committing a crime and they know it. And if they get caught, they're going to get put in jail and their power is going to end. So like it makes a lot of sense that they're saying, no, nothing like that could be happening. But it really does look like it's happening at the upper echelons of provinces, states, Canada, federally, and the United States as well, federally, right? And is anybody going to stop it? Donald Trump, do you think he's going to stop it, right? Some people say yes, some people say no. I'm still on the fence. I think like we'll see. And I mean like same thing with Pierre. I don't think there's anything I can do one way or the other for Pierre Poilievre. It looks like he's going to win, and Donald Trump looks like he's going to win. And I think that both of them, what they're going to do is it's going to look like it's really good. But I'm worried about the undertone. Some people say the undertone being like maybe the economy is really good. Maybe the taxes get reduced in Canada and Donald Trump turns around the United States economy to the point where it's really good. But then World War III starts and then, we have to go to a draft. And then because World War III starts, well, we have to have digital IDs and things like this. It's going to make sense. Like the problem is during the pandemic, it's for your safety, comrade. It's going to make sense to people. You're going to be able to get there. You're not going to have to do lots of mental gymnastics to understand why they want to do what they're going to do. And people are going to say, well, it's Donald Trump. He'd never lead us astray. It's Pierre Poilievre. He fought those communists and got us our country back, right? They're going to think that they're on their side, and it's going to take a while to realize that, oh crap, maybe they're not on our side. And so like, that's the concern that I've got. One of the more articulate people that I follow was saying that Donald Trump is the pathway. He was chosen by the powers that be to be the next president, excuse me. And the reason that he's going to be the next president is because they need people of my demographic to buy back in to, actually kill off the target demographic when that war with Russia starts, right? Because if they don't buy back in, like if you don't see the enemy as declared by the US government, the enemy, and you instead say, F you, I'd rather go to prison and sit in prison and not participate in your bullshit war, that's bad for them, because if they can't get soldiers to fight, well, then that's bad for them, right? So that's why some people think Donald Trump is being picked to be the next president. And who knows? Like, I really don't know. The other side is, yes, he's really genuinely fighting against the cabal of evil people who have taken governance from we the people, and he's going to restore it to we the people. So, I mean, that's his line. That's what he says. That's what people who believe him say. What do you think? Do you think he's a Pied Piper like Pierre Poilievre? Do you think Pierre Poilievre is a Pied Piper? Same thing? I honestly don't know. And for Trump, I think proof will be in the pudding. Like, proof will be in his actions coming up, because I don't know one way or the other. And for Poilievre, man, I feel like I know, but I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But like, I don't think the party deserves the benefit of the doubt, but maybe he does. But also, there's a whole bunch of things that he did that I kind of disagree with anyway. So it's like, I don't know, but there's nothing I can do about it. Like, there's nothing I can do about it. So we're along on this ride together. Anyway, Bruce McGonigal is responding to himself. He says 670,000 British Columbians voted at a polling site before the October 19th election, myself included. Not me, him. Had I known an electoral officer could take my vote home before it was counted, I would have waited for election day. Yeah, people are upset about that whole polling people can take your vote home if they want to. That's weird, right? It's very, very strange. And so our elections don't seem secure from a whole bunch of different vectors. From, like, in Canada, the leadership races are not secure. The Conservative Party leadership race, the Liberal Party leadership race, anything counted by Dominion, anything counted by Deloitte, anything counted by anything that's not fully live streamed the whole time, anything that doesn't have proper chain of custody. Like we have any mail-in ballots, phone ballots, like all of this is not secure elections. Like we don't have secure elections because anybody could call from anywhere. Phone ballots, what a ridiculous idea, right? And how many did impact this latest election, right? And it's one of those things that the phone ballots themselves may not have been the thing that put it over, but the grouping together of all the electoral interference definitely did, right? And that's a big, big problem, and one that we just don't seem capable or interested or willing to solve. And I saw one person say, like, I don't even care. I just want this to be over and I don't want to do this again. And, it doesn't even matter at this point. And I'm like, well, that's the whole point, right? They just want to wear you down to the point where you're like, well, I'm tired now. I don't want to do it again. I just want to go to bed. Well, buck up, man. We got some more work to do, unfortunately. Derek, let's talk about the invasion ongoing. Derek says, this is a video from the trail camera in Vermont. I previously posted pictures, but some people wanted to see a video. Our country is being invaded under the watch of border czar Kamala Harris. We must elect President Trump to save America. Maybe. Here is, if you're not watching, it's a trail cam, like a deer trail cam, and there are a bunch of people in Vermont crossing into the United States. It looks like they're crossing from Canada. This guy's wearing a turban, right? Very clearly wearing a turban. Are these guys Asian or are they Indian? I don't know. I can't tell. So there you go. This is what's going on in the United States. If you think that's not happening in Canada, or if these people aren't staging from Canada, they're like coming here and then going on to the United States, you're incorrect. They are doing that. And number two, the United States knows they're doing that. And number three, I don't think Trump's going to tolerate that. So interesting. I don't know what's going to happen if Trump wins. If Trump doesn't win, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, the thing is, if Kamala Harris is declared the winner, that launches a whole bunch of lawsuits, and like people are going to be ticked off in one way or another. It will signal the end of a peaceful handover of power one way or the other. Maybe, but we'll see. If Trump wins, then what they did to him last time with the chop zones and the riots and the Black Lives Matter and all of that stuff, that's all in play again. And the powers that be, the moneyed powers that be, will put a lot of backing into anybody who does that. And there are a whole bunch of people who have crossed the southern border during the years that Trump has not been the president, and even before, when Trump was not the president before 2014, a whole bunch of people who may just listen to an Order 66 that says, hey, it's time to go rain chaos on these American cities. I was listening to Party in the USA, and there's a whole bunch of songs in one era that sound like basically the party is in the USA. The Purge came out around the same time. This whole idea of dismantling the United States laws in order to let off steam for people who are mad at each other or something like that, and suspending laws for a day to go and kill people and things like that. These are bad ideas that are being injected into the public sphere by bad actors, and it's coordinated. It's not an accident. It's not like, oh, this is where art took us. Nope, it's coordinated and pushed. Here is Maxime Bernier talking about the invasion. He says he's responding to Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau says, we're cracking down on corporations and colleges that exploit foreign workers and international students. Justin Trudeau created that system. He made it. He incentivized those employers and those schools and things like that. Huge incentives to do that. Lots of money, lots and lots of money. They wanted the outcome that they got. And now they don't want to lose the election. So they're using rhetoric and lies to say, oh, hold on. It wasn't our bad policies and our bad incentives that created this problem. No. It was the evil, bad businesses that did that. Those mean, bad businesses. They're so bad. And that's bullshit. It's Justin Trudeau's bad policies that did this. He wears this. Nobody else. Maxime Bernier says, you allowed all of this to happen, and you smeared as a racist and white supremacist anyone who raised these same objections to mass immigration until yesterday. You're an absolute psychopath. True. That's 100% true. This is a woman, and she says that she doesn't see herself as Canadian. She says Canada is a white supremacist, colonial, and racist project.
As is Israel.
Oh, as is Israel. And she says, I don't even
consider myself to be a Canadian.
Deport. Get out. 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 Bye. Like, you've said enough. I don't give a rat's ass what else you have to say. You've said enough. That's that. So, like, we're importing people who hate the country. So we could probably stop that anytime. Right? Here in Real News, Erie says, the Netherlands has a new immigration policy. 1, no more permanent resident visas. All visas will expire. 2, Syrians are sent back to safe areas. 3, refugee. Is that all you have to say? Perfect. As the Premier of Ontario in my magic wand world, I'll send them back to safe places. We'll send them back to safe places, and those safe places can deal with them. See you later. Because once they get there, they're not going to be safe anymore. But fair warning, right? Like Jeepers Creepers. Refugees will not get priority housing over Dutch nationals. Well, that's a good rule. It's 2 minutes, 45 seconds, but it's Geert. And remember Geert? I don't know. He bent the knee. He bent the knee pretty hard to the globalists. So I don't know. This is it's a small win, and it's hollow because of all that knee bending from earlier. But still, I mean, I like the policies. Could do that. That'd be a good start, right? We'll send them back to safe places, just not here. You can go anywhere you want. You just can't stay here. Globe and Mail is reporting heavy police presence in London amid anti-immigrant and opposing anti-racism protests. So Tommy Robinson was leading Britain for Britain and an anti-immigration rally. I don't think he was calling it an anti-immigration rally. And the British police really went out of their way to make it look like, terrorism and all the rest of it. But they arrested Tommy Robinson beforehand on terrorism charges, but the terrorist charges were his refusal to hand over the passcode to his phone because he had journalistic sources on there, according to him. And so he's in jail because of that. And they jailed him ahead of this rally because they were saying the rally was going to be in terrorism or something to that effect. But it's a whole lot of nonsense. It's a whole lot of the state cracking down on people's ability to like oppose what the state is doing, and the state is not acting on, like, people don't want that. People aren't voting for the demise of their country. People aren't voting for increased rent prices. People aren't voting for the government to print money so that the value of money and buying power is reduced to the point where rent is now $3,000 in Canada and the actual money we're making isn't anymore, right? Like that's all very problematic. It's not good. And saying we're doing all of this for your benefit, comrade. And by the way, if you don't like it, you're a terrorist if you protest. That's bad. It is a bad situation. And our society fought hard to not be in this situation. And yet here we are. And so now the question is, what are we going to do about it? Because sitting around feeling sorry for ourselves will just continue the situation longer, right? It's not actually a solution. It's a continued problem. And it's exactly what they want us to do. They want us to wallow in our own self-pity so we don't actually stand up and tell them to get effed, right? Like to see you later, you're done because we're not going to let you anymore, right? Like they don't want us to do that. They want us to feel sorry for ourselves that we can't do anything. We can, and we should. Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for watching. This is just a short version of a longer show. If you'd like to get the whole show, you can go over to CanadaPoly.com and sign up for a subscription. Just look in the drop-down tab for Shop and Donate and look for subscriptions, and you'll get immediate access to the full show. Love to see you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.